Hey, welcome to Rooted Rainbow. Today we might call it the Tooted Rainbow.
Oh, snap.
My name is Benjamin.
I'm Lindsay.
Today I wanted to talk about some God things again,
Really?
because that's what we do here.
That's fascinating.
So I brought a prop.
Careful, my shirt. It's right there.
Oh, yes, and it's still wet. This is a plunger. Lindsay wants me to get this away from her. So I was in the bathroom and I was obviously plunging the toilet, having lots of fun. And you can ask Lindsay, I got a little upset. Could you hear me from the living room?
Yep.
Yes, I was yelling at the toilet.
He was.
And as much as that might sound like fun, I wasn't having that much fun. But I did like the challenge of solving the toilet blunder. And so, but at a certain point, I felt extremely entitled's not the word. I used it a second ago. It wouldn't work. The water was still running while frustrated. Man, I wish I had that word. It's $1 million word right now.
It's okay.
But, I was just like, why can't I fix this? I tried to use a fishing bobber to make the little ball that goes up as the water level increases. There was something wrong with that, so I was trying to use a fishing bobber. That didn't work. Finally, I just bent the piece of metal, and it's working good now. But I was
They're very glad that it's working good now.
I was so offended that my toilet was not flushing, and I was being forced to look at these children swimming in the pool. Should I say that? It's like one of my favorite.
Said it now.
So, it stinks. It's poop in a toilet. Let's be real. Like, everyone's had this problem before where you've got crap in a toilet. It won't go down. No one wants to deal with this. No one wants to work on the toilet.
I think they got the idea.
Right? But right. So like, I'm trying to build up the drama here. So it's like, okay. So let's use this into like a kingdom principle. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So people get really offended when Christians try to talk about the entrance into heaven, right? That would kind of be the ultimate goal, right? I want to get into heaven. You probably want to get into heaven. Everyone wants to get into heaven, and people don't want to go to hell. People don't even want to talk about heaven or hell because they're super controversial for like multiple reasons. And entrance into heaven is one of those things. And I have my opinion on why they're controversial, but we're not going to go into that. But I'm going to kind of talk about like the double standard here, where, if someone just came into your house without knocking, you would be offended. You'd be like, get out, right? So heaven's kind of like that too. You got to know God's name, right? You have to say it. You have to confess it. Hey, Charlie, you home. God's name is not Charlie. I'm just using that as an example, okay? And so, this turd in the toilet was offending me, yet here's God. It's my turd, okay? My own turd, my own filth is offending me, and I want it gone, okay? But we all want to get into heaven without, having to flush the toilet, essentially. And God's like, no, you're dirty. You have sin. You're not allowed to come in here. And really, the quote that went through my head is, if you're not going to flush the toilet here on earth, you're probably not going to flush it up in heaven, right? Now we all flush toilets, Now that was kind of bad, but I think you get my point. The double standard we have on God and His entrance requirements versus, our filth and sin here. We get so offended, yet when God says, hey, you can't have sin to come in here, you can't bring that in here, you got to flush it, we get offended. And that's not really fair, honestly, because the standard's in our own house, in our own little treasure box, which we call home, has a door and a gate. We hold our possessions in here. This is our little kingdom and dominion, right? So how can I be so offended if someone brings something into my house I don't like? But when it comes to God, I should be able to bring whatever I want to up into heaven, right? And obviously we can't bring earthly possessions into heaven. So we're dealing about the things in here and in here and everything that's in between them, right? So what's your take on that? Besides, I got the toilet to work and you're very thankful.
So basically, you're saying we need to flush the toilet while we're here on Earth. Metaphorically, to represent, we need to come to salvation while we're here on Earth because we can't be taking up a crappy toilet up to the gates of heaven.
Yes.
Did I summarize it pretty well?
Yeah, that's yes, you did. That's done well.
Okay.
Any other awesome thing? Any awesome revelations it came about in this conversation?
No.
What do you think about like the double standards we kind of like put on God? Like it's not okay for people to do it to us, but like we should be able to do it to God.
I just think people are full of double standards. Like we're
True.
completely full of our own biases, whether it's towards God or each other, or the things that we eat or the things that we do. We just like to live by our own standard of what we think is acceptable in that moment. So we just apply that to everything. And people don't know how biased they are in every single direction. And it takes people, to really have some objectivity forced on them to say, oh, wow, maybe my perspective isn't right all the time.
Right. I think people do come to that conclusion, whether they want to admit it or not. Basically, it's similar to saying, because I know that I don't know everything about roses or whatever I'm a specialist in, right? Let's say I'm a specialist in roses. At the end of the day, I can study roses till the day I die. And I'm only going to know less than 10% about roses. But because I know that I don't know everything about roses and I've worked so hard at it, I know you don't know everything about roses, and so therefore no one else can either. And so that's kind of like that, where people can get into that life is meaningless rotation and kind of spin out of control sometimes.
Yeah, that's a stretch, but I get what you're
It's
saying.
a little bit of a stretch, but
Oh, we started with roses now. Everything is meaningless. All right. Well, guys, that's it for this video. Any final words?
Hey, you can't smell the roses if you've got poop on the toilet.
Boom. Have a good one, guys. We'll see you in the next video.
Bye-bye, guys.